Welcome to the Positive Impact Podcast, where we dive into the world of movers, shakers, and changemakers, creating a positive impact on the world. This is your host, Alexandra Black-Pollock, and together we're going to tackle real issues, discovering how we can make the world a better place. If you joined us on Wednesday, you heard Thomas Fitzpatrick's riveting story on how he, as a dentist, started the sustainable coffee company, Cura Coffee, that helps support sustainable dentistry efforts in Nicaragua and San Diego. Today, we're connecting with another dentist. Joining us today is Dr. Jordan Buzzell, a pediatric dentist who is passionate about helping underserved individuals both locally and abroad through extensive and sustainable dental outreach. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem, Alex. It's good to be here on your podcast.
Now, we have this term sustainable dental care. Can you explain what that means?
I think one thing we need to put into perspective related to this topic is in the United States, most people have pretty good access to dental care. And that is not oftentimes the case when you go to communities overseas, especially in third world or underserved communities. So we can make a major impact in their dental or oral health for the short term, but what happens after we leave? So sustainable dental care is really looking at how can we transform and empower the local dental providers? How can we help equip and train them so that they can meet the needs of their communities?
Now, when you head to these countries, and you've gone to quite a few different countries to help with these efforts, what are some of the biggest challenges that you encounter on creating these sustainable measures?
I think one of the bigger differences is what is the priority of oral health? Some communities, some underserved communities may not even have the tools or education, or it may not even be a priority to maintain, optimum oral health. We've been on, I remember a specific time that we were in Haiti and we gave out toothbrushes to the kids and they basically started playing with them kind of in the dirt like they were toys.
Which is what every dentist wants, a brand new toothbrush to be used for.
Right. So sustainable dental care is not just going in and drilling and filling cavities or removing infected teeth. You have to be able to provide educational opportunities, and you have to empower these people that may either they don't have the education or lack the skills. But I think one of the toughest things is really understanding these communities, because some of them, they're more concerned about feeding their children and taking care of their families than they are with a cavity. So it's really about perspective. So it really, each dental outreach that we, and each country that we go on, you have to really tailor your kind of goals and your model specifically for each location and each community.
With Thomas, we talked primarily about his efforts in Nicaragua. And I know that you've actually had the experience to go there and to work on some of these measures. What did education there look like?
So in Nicaragua, it's a very interesting kind of combination of multiple organizations that have been going to the underserved areas of Nicaragua for at least the last 15 years. Thomas's coffee company, Cura Coffee, now has a nonprofit arm which is named Cura Smiles. Cura Smiles now has a model that we are going to walk alongside the Foundation for Worldwide Health, which has been already providing sustainable dental care in Nicaragua for the past 15 years. And the educational piece that is very, very unique to any dental outreach that I've been a part of is the fact that when we go down to Nicaragua, we actually are helping to educate Nicaraguan dental students and dental faculty so that they may be better trained and equipped to treat their local communities
Talk about a way to make a lasting impact. You guys are actually going down and working with dental students and helping further their training and bring different components to what will then be their job to take dental care to their communities. I love it.
Right. And one really awesome thing that's happened with the Nicaraguan Dental Congress, which so basically like the organization in Nicaragua that all of the dentists are members of, they actually moved their annual meeting to coincide with when we are there in Nicaragua. So not only are we bringing dental providers and dental teams to help treat different patient populations within Nicaragua, we also send faculty from Loma Linda who are providing continuing education opportunities for the local dentists. So it just keeps getting better and better.
More and more sustainable, right?
Exactly.
Did you say that it was a dental congress?
That's just the term that they use. So it would be like the equivalent of the American Dental Association.
They just get props for really cool naming is what you're telling me.
Yeah, exactly.
That really touches on the fact that what we're talking about here is really digging in and defining sustainable. And it's not just your typical medical outreach or just your typical outreach where it's let's address what's happening now. This idea of sustainable, that it's going to last beyond you, that's where that comes in.
I agree. And I think that one of the unique things with Cura Coffee and Cura Smiles is that we have now partnered with local families in the Tierra Nueva area of Nicaragua that have a coffee co-op. And we have now built a clinic in that area that either dental students or dentists from the local dental colleges and universities can come and help provide care for these communities. So there's now a physical place where this dental care can take place. There's now, if a physical structure isn't something that's sustainable, I don't know what is.
No, now that you actually have a clinic and you have students coming here to do the work, that pretty much wraps up like sustainability right there, right?
Exactly.
But just to recap, just because I'm in love with this definition of sustainability, we have education, really empowering communities to understand the importance. We have teaching, where you guys go in, you work with future dentists, and you say, here's how to make the most impact. You have innovation, where you have partnerships with schools, where you have teachers working on keeping toothbrushes organized and offering toothbrushes to students. And then you have prevention. Oh, now that is sustainability.
Exactly.
At this time, let's talk a little bit about the impact, because I know that you guys have done some incredible things. And while I know you personally do incredible work both locally and globally, let's really narrow and focus in on that impact in Tierra Nueva.
So in Tierra Nueva, what happened is about 5 years ago, Thomas was with one of our teams as part of the Foundation for Worldwide Health, and they traveled to this remote location where these families are located, and they, as we discussed earlier, it's a coffee co-op. So they spoke with local community leaders and owners of the co-op and discussed one of the things that was missing most for these families was dental care. So Thomas came away from that with kind of an idea that basically sparked Cura Coffee. And that's basically, we're helping the farmers resource and, sell their coffee beans at a fair trade price. And at the same time, we're helping them do that. We're also reinvesting into their families and their community so that we can provide funding for an existing dental clinic, funding for dental students and local dentists to provide dental care. And it kind of just is this reciprocal exchange where we're not only helping them get a fair trade price, but we're also helping them immediately give back to their local community and their families there at the Tierra Nueva Co-op.
Now, I have to admit, that bag of coffee does a lot of good.
Exactly.
Now let's bring it back, because I know both with you and Thomas, it's not just about going out to these other communities. It's also about doing good in your own local community. Can you drive home some of the ways that you're helping underserved communities right here at home in San Diego?
Yeah, I think that's one of the areas that often gets overlooked is the immediate need that's in our own backyards here in the U.S. Dental cavities in the U.S. is the most common chronic childhood disease. So there's a huge need out there. And one of the things that Cura Smiles is really, really focusing on is making sure that we're not only focused on efforts overseas or in underserved populations overseas, but we're also focused on those people who need the help the most here in the U.S.
Now that we really understand what is one of the most prominent diseases affecting children, what are some of the measures that you guys are taking to address this?
So again, it goes back to a place that these children and again, this problem also is in adults as well. There's adults that are in a lot of need here in the U.S. So one of the things that we are working on with Cura Smiles is designing and building out a permanent clinic in an underserved area of San Diego here, which is the City Heights area.
You guys really are creating more smiles both globally and here at home.
Yeah, and I think one of the critical parts of ensuring sustainable dental care in the U.S. is oftentimes there's a lot of barriers that patients and families have in just getting access to dental insurance. So one of the focuses in particular of this clinic will be that it will be a completely free volunteer clinic. We won't accept insurance. We won't accept payment. There's no reason that a child cannot have access to dental care in this clinic model.
That is going to really revolutionize a lot of different lives.
Again, I just want to reiterate that this is not a new model. There are communities all over San Diego County and up and down the state of California that have free dental clinics. So it's really, partnering with the clinics and resources that are already available, but also finding out where there's a need and making sure that Cura Smiles can meet those needs and fill any voids that may exist in our local communities.
It's so great that you just really emphasize that, because you guys aren't reinventing the wheel. You're saying we found models that work, and we're going to just use that model to address the needs we see in our community. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today and really digging into this idea of sustainability, addressing issues at home, and prevention as one of the key components of sustainability. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah, I want to, on behalf of Thomas and myself, I want to thank you for having Cura Coffee and Cura Smiles on this podcast, and we really hope that people will visit the Cura Coffee website, kind of see what we're doing. I would say that this is only the beginning. Cura Smiles will be truly impacting lives and helping to provide sustainable dental care, both in our local communities and abroad, for many years to come.
Especially since I personally know that coffee is fantastic, as I have about 5 bags in my pantry as we speak. Jordan, it's been incredible.
Yeah, thank you again for having us.
And there you have it, movers and shakers, the complete download of what sustainable dental care looks like both around the world and at home. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to check out Cura Coffee's absolutely incredible coffee yet, I highly recommend you do that. I personally gave it out as multiple Christmas gifts this year. Yes, to those of you who received it, you're welcome. For all of the resources mentioned today, head on over to our show notes page at positiveimpactpodcast.com/stories/Cura Coffee. And yes, we're going to have a link where you can buy Cura Coffee. Until next time, keep doing your part to make the world a better place.